Live from the 22 News Studios, this is a Decision 2013 special program. Today, a debate with the candidates for mayor of Westfield. And now, here's Rich Teddemer.
Good afternoon, and 22 News is working for you this week as we let the candidates you'll see on the ballot next Tuesday debate the issues. And today we focus on the race for mayor of Westfield. Second-term Mayor Dan Knapik debates his challenger, Michael Roeder. This is a Lincoln Douglas-style debate where the candidates will ask each other the questions with time for answers and rebuttal. They have 30 seconds to ask a question, 60 seconds to respond, and then 30 seconds for rebuttal. First, each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement, and by virtue of the coin flip, Mike Roeder goes first. Mike?
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Mike Roeder, and I am running for mayor of Westfield. I announced my candidacy on April 8th. Of this year, when it became apparent to me that there was not going to be a challenger to the incumbent for a second time. One of the things that I want to impact on Tuesday is voter turnout. Over the last 20 years in this city, which covers 10 mayoral elections, the average voter turnout has been 6,000 voters. There are 23,700 registered voters in the city of Westfield, and I just think that when you consider all the issues pressing on this city right now, voter turnout is imperative. And so I'm running to give people a choice. And I think over the last several months, 6 months actually, I've done exactly that. Because my platform is entirely separate in a different direction.
That's your time right now, Mr. Roeder. Remember, we got to keep to 1 minute for the opening statement. Now it's time for Mayor Knapik to give his opening statement. Mayor?
Thanks, Rich. 4 years ago, I ran for mayor to tell you that our city faced incredible challenges. We were sliding into the Great Recession, and certainly we needed to have leadership that would make decisive actions based on the facts. 4 years later, I'm happy to report, after the massive storms of 2011 and 2012 and surviving the Great Recession, our city has progress in every corner. Our student achievement has been fantastic. Our financial ratings, we have more money in our savings account than when I arrived in the city. Our bond rating has never been higher. There is progress throughout the city. I delivered on my promise. We're going to build the senior center next year. We resolved the issue with a new school. And we're here at another critical turning point 4 years later. You'll see two very different opinions of our future laid out here this afternoon. So thank you for tuning in.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, thanks very much. Once again, gentlemen, the rules are this. You have 30 seconds to ask a question, 60 seconds for a reply, and then 30 seconds for rebuttal. So you try to stay inside those times, otherwise I have to get rude and say stop, but let's not go there. First off, we're going to start with the Mr. Roeder will ask the first question today. Mr. Roeder?
Thank you. In several local municipalities, the mayoral term has been lengthened to 4 years from 2. Springfield is a case in point. Holyoke will vote on this on 11/5/13. Term limits have been a subject of debate. What is your position on 4-year terms and term limits?
I'm not a fan of 4-year terms nor term limits. I think, like every day, the moment I approach the office, every day you're out doing your business. We've worked hard. And the fact of the reality is, I think choice is good, and I'm glad that you're here today to challenge me on this. It gets my platform out and our progress in the city. So I don't really see that as an issue. I attach the job every day like I'm running for office to move the city forward.
Rebuttal?
I favor 4-year terms. I think it's a trend that has caught the interest of many voters. I also favor term limits. In this case, if 4 years was to become a reality in Westfield, I would say that back-to-back tours, 8 years, and then you have to take 4 years off.
Mayor Knapik, your first question, please.
Thank you, Rich. Mike, you just opened up your platform with how important it is to vote. What I'd like to know is, why have you only voted once in 6 local elections since you've been in town, and only 6 times out of 19 elections since 2012? Could you please answer that for us?
Well, I might not want to answer it. I'm not sure why it's relevant to anything. I've just spent the last 6 months working extremely hard, 7 days a week, trying to get my platform out. When we moved into Westfield, we still had a lot of commitments in Connecticut and in Florida. I don't even remember why I didn't vote in some of those elections. I know this, I believe in voting, and my record may not have been stellar, but I don't see what relevance it has to my candidacy. My lack of voting in some elections in no way, in my opinion, demeans my love for this country.
Rebuttal.
Well, I've always taken issues at the local and national and state level very seriously, and the most important obligation we have in a democracy is to go out and vote. And certainly if you're going to run for mayor, you need to demonstrate that you understand the issues of the day and that you've been a participant as the progress of the city's gone through, and you just haven't done that since 2006, Mike. There's absentee ballots you could have done. You didn't learn the issues in this campaign, and I think it's important that the voters know if you're going to say you need to get out and vote, well, how come you haven't gone out and voted?
Mr. Roeder, your next question, please.
Debt is a huge problem in this country at all levels of government. At the federal level, we're looking at about $16.5 trillion. The state is $100 billion in debt. Westfield is approximately $100 million in debt. At what point do you, as mayor of Westfield, stop borrowing money?
Mike, that's a great point. You know, because I know you're not good with the facts, I brought a couple of sheets here from the city, and in fact, general levy debt in the city of Westfield is $61 million, so you can look at that at your leisure. And the other thing is, since 1979, I ran off every single year that we've had for general interest in principal on our debt service, and you'll find out, going back many years ago, the debt level was much higher in the city than it presently is. And as a matter of fact, with all the borrowing you said I've done, we're actually in a clip to be much lower than the historic average of the city. So I'm very comfortable with that. These are for you so you can learn the issues. And the fact is, with interest rates being what they are today, this is a very good climate. But I'd ask you this, Mike, what buildings wouldn't you have fixed? What projects and what issues do you think that we've been wasting money on? That's not my question, but that's just for a rebuttal.
Rebuttal.
Number one, in the last 5 years, this city has paid close to $40 million in principal and interest on the debt, and we still have close to $100 million in debt. The interest payment, principal and interest payment this year will be $5.5 million, and in 2 years from now, we'll jump to $7.2 million. It's unacceptable.
Mayor Knapik, your next question.
You have stated that you'll kill the Abner Gibbs School project. The process of siting a new school takes many years and many votes of school committees and city councils. The state requires a feasibility study to be done for determination of need. We have done all of that. I would like to know, what experts have you consulted with that contradict these findings?
Well, first of all, the individuals who filed the lawsuit against this project, who managed to stop you dead in your tracks because of many violations of MEPA rules and regulations, Article 97, you name it, they didn't get a temporary injunction against you because they were full of baloney. The fact is, I consider them to be the experts on this particular case, and I have made it clear that if I am elected mayor, that I will terminate this project, because it's already cost us, in my humble opinion, $300,000 minimal for legal fees.
Well, you'd be wrong on that. We've spent very little money on legal fees because we've handled it in-house, and there's been very little court action. And the reality is we have a glowing endorsement from MEPA, and if you'd actually read the document or called me up or sent me an email or looked at the public record which was filed, I would have shared all that with you. You could have looked at it at any time. This is a good project. It's disappointing that 10 people across the street don't want the school, but I have to think about 600 children that need a home, the families at Juniper, Abner, and Franklin. This has been a decade in the making, and you're wrong on that issue because you don't have a plan for those kids in June 2015.
Mr. Roeder, your next question, please.
For almost 3 years, water cannons have been positioned at the south end of the Great River Bridge. To date, over $300,000 has been paid to Ty and Bond for engineering design work. When does that project begin, and what will it cost?
In actuality, Mike, you're not even close to $300,000 with Ty and Bond. It's been a few $1,000s on the contract. And the fact is, those cannons were put in there as part of a contract that I inherited. And the reality is, you've said they're going to claim $3 million. I have an estimate now. It's going to cost $150,000, and it's federally fund eligible, Mike. No cost to the taxpayer. Federally fund eligible. And there's a constituency in the city of Westfield that would like to see additional enhancements in our parks. And we plan to open that up when we do the Great River Greenway ribbon cutting over the railroad trestle. And in 2016, you'll find out that it's not $3 million like you've claimed, and there's not all this boondoggle waste of money. It's a beautiful city now, and I'm very proud of the progress we've made.
Rebuttal.
Well, I'm proud of this city too. I'm not proud of the amount of borrowing that goes on a daily basis under your regime. I'm standing by my figure of $300,000, and I think because of the big discrepancies, the voters on Tuesday have a clear choice to make. One of us is lying, and it's not me.
Mayor Knapik, your next question.
Mike, I have 2 letters here from the New England Association of School and College Accreditation that tell us that construction of a STEM wing at Westfield High School is critical to continued accreditation for that school in the very near future. You have said in your literature you will kill that project. Please tell the parents of Westfield today why you are willing to risk accreditation of our high school.
Well, it's really not accreditation that concerns me, because this particular project, the new wing for the high school, is probably 3, 4, 5 years away. If that project were to go forward today, we could not afford it based on my understanding of our debt. 3 or 4 years from now, if the economy improves, that may be a different story. Don't paint me as being anti-education. I'm not that at all. I'm a former teacher. I believe in education. It's the key to our future. But there has to be a limit, and I think the borrowing is the key.
Rebuttal.
Well, I think he's wrong on that issue. As a matter of fact, the school committee and the city council advanced a statement of interest, and we don't have 3 to 5 years. And the fact of the matter is, if you came and sat with me, or if you just happen to look at our trends here, I have carried out budget numbers for 2018 for long-term debt, and in the worst it's going to get, it's $6.7 million. Just a decade ago, it was $8.5 million for 4 years in a row. So, Mike, you need to learn the facts in front of this city, and you haven't done that.
Okay, gentlemen, we're going to take a short 2-minute break right now, and then more questions and answers for the 2 candidates who are running for mayor of Westfield. You're watching 22 News.